Hello everyone, this is Ezequiel, and today I'm going to be discussing a few of your contributions to the forum on chapters 7 through 9 in Never Let Me Go. In general, I would like to mention that I was pleased to see that you engaged not only with vocabulary and expressions from the novel, but also with some of the central themes such as fate, identity, truth, freedom, and the ethical implications of Hailsham educational model. So let's begin analyzing some of your classmates' writings. Valentina, your analysis of the phrase told and not told demonstrates a very good understanding of the paradox at the heart of Hailsham's system. I particularly appreciated your explanation that the students know the facts but do not fully grasp their emotional and existential consequences. Your discussion of ignorance as a form of control is insightful and connects well with broader themes in the novel. From a language perspective, your writing is generally clear and accurate. For a more advanced academic style, consider varying certain expressions such as they don't really understand by using alternatives like they fail to comprehend the full implications, or they remain unaware of the gravity of their situation. Similarly, instead of they are just used for their bodies, you might write they are reduced to their biological function. A question for further reflection would be, to what extent are the guardians themselves trapped within the same system they impose on the students? Can they also be considered victims? So think about that. Carolina, your response to Valentina effectively extends the discussion by focusing on the student's lack of reaction and on Kathy's narrative voice. This is a strong interpretive move because it shifts attention from the event itself to the way it is remembered and narrated. To make your contribution even stronger, you could support your ideas with a brief textual reference and develop your point about Kathy's calm narration in more detail. A question to consider would be, does Kathy's restrained tone reflect acceptance, emotional repression, or something else entirely? Your choice of what lies ahead of you is appropriate because the phrase captures the tension between knowledge and destiny that characterizes the novel. Your explanation clearly links the expression to the determined future of the students. Your analysis is well organized and addresses several important themes, particularly identity and fate. For a more sophisticated lexical range, instead of repeating future several times, you might use alternatives such as destiny, predetermined path, inevitable trajectory, or foreordained role. One grammatical suggestion. In the sentence, it is related to become donors, a more accurate formulation would be, it is related to becoming donors, or it refers to their future role as donors. For further analysis, think of the following question. Do Miss Lucy's revelations empower the students, or do they merely make them aware of a reality they cannot change? Sebastián, your contribution stands out for its analytical depth and academic style. Your interpretation of a sort of glow is a symbol of prestige, nostalgia, and folk hopes, comes out as particularly convincing. I also appreciated the way you connected this idea to the earlier concept of the secret guard, identifying a recurring pattern in the character's need to create narratives of specialness. Your writing already demonstrates advanced vocabulary and sophisticated sentence structures. Expressions such as lingering myth, psychological landscape, and fabricated past, contribute to a strong literary analysis. One area for further development would be to consider whether Hailsham's glow is entirely illusionary. Could there be aspects of Hailsham that genuinely distinguish its students from clones raised elsewhere? Your discussion question is excellent, and to extend it further, I would suggest the following. Can comforting illusions ever be ethically justified if they help people endure an otherwise unbearable reality? Ines, your discussion of Miss Lucy's statements demonstrate a strong understanding of the gradual disclosure of truth in Hailsham. I particularly enjoyed your observation that the students never experience a single traumatic revelation and therefore develop a detached relationship with their fate. This is a nuanced and perceptive interpretation. Your writing shows engagement with the text, but there are a few language points that could be refined as well. I'm going to read some of the phrases and I'm going to mention some suggestions to make it better. The phrases: provided information into their heads could be replaced with gradually instilled information into their minds. Instead of saying shows how difficult it is for Miss Lucy, you could think of it shows how difficult it is for Miss Lucy. The phrase carry with the weight of the truth could become bear the burden of the truth. And please see the spelling on cause confusion. To push your analysis further, think of the following. Why do you think Ishiguro chooses Miss Lucy rather than Kathy, Ruth, or Tommy to articulate these truths so directly? What narrative purpose does her role serve? Across all entries, I notice a recurring focus on truth, ignorance, fate, and identity. Those themes are central to chapters 7 through 9 and will continue to develop throughout the novel. As you continue reading, I encourage you to move beyond identifying what happens and begin examining how Ishiguro constructs meaning through narrative voice, symbolism, omissions, and ambiguity. As advanced readers, try to ask yourselves not only what does this passage mean, but also why is it presented in this particular way, and what is the effect on the reader. Excellent work overall. I really look forward to seeing how your interpretations evolve as we progress through the novel. And here is a final question for you to consider. We're going to continue talking about this, perhaps in the next class or perhaps in the future examination. So that's all for now. See you later.